So once again, happy Friday, everybody. Here we are, Buddha Center, in the temple, in Second Life. So let's get started like we normally do. Short period of bell meditation. I believe we've all done this before. So wherever you are behind your avatar, just get into a nice meditation posture. And as I ring the Ching bell, focus on the sound of the bell. Get that deep listening going. Get that concentration going so you can absorb some Dharma. If you get distracted, and you probably will, just gently remind yourself, oh yeah, focus on the bell. And just go back to focusing on the bell. Then there'll be that short pause at the end of the short meditation. Then we'll do the 3 recitations and then on with the talk for today. So I'll give you a moment, get into a nice posture. We'll begin at the sound of the bell. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the teacher. I go for refuge to the Dhamma, the teaching. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the taught. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dhamma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I have taken refuge in the Buddha. I have taken refuge in the Dhamma. I have taken refuge in the Sangha. 3 pure precepts. Cease to do harm. Do only good. Do good for others. Bodhisattva vow. However innumerable all beings are, I vow to lead them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Swaha. So again, happy Friday. Good to see everybody. So today, as I've said before, this year is kind of about how our practice and our relationships kind of come together. And so the stuff we're doing here at the beginning of the year is to get us ready with all these different terms and ideas and ideals and philosophy and all that So as we get into the meat of the year, which is going to be the Sigalovada Sutta, we kind of know what the terminologies are and can be ready to understand better, right? That's kind of the idea. So the next two talks are going to be about the individuality paradox, and you get what that is here in a second. Again, it's all about relationships. So there's this paradox that most of us have in the human body mind that causes us suffering and discontent and anguish. What it is as human beings, we experience a craving for individuality, right? We want to stand out from all other human beings. We want to be unique. And we want everybody around us to acknowledge that we're unique. There is also the need, whether we want to admit it or not, to be part of a group, right? To have a circle of other human beings that accept us and who hold similar worldviews. So this is the paradox of individuality. We want to be an individual, but we want to be in a group too. Now, it is a truth that each of us, as a matter of fact, are unique expressions of the universe. Right? There's not going to be another one like us. But it is equally true that each of us are not unique in the universe. There's lots of human beings running around that deal with the same stuff that we do, right? This whole idea of human suffering. So realizing this appropriate view of human existence by coming to terms with what I call the individuality paradox can open up your body-mind to the knowledge that it isn't what, who, when, why, or what you are. None of those things are as important as how you are. How you are in relation to other human beings is what determines how effective a social self you can be. How you view and act upon relationships that you have is key to our practice, or at least one of the keys to our practice. Now, we all know relationships. We've all had. They can begin as a result of a whole bunch of different kind of stimuli, reasons, if you will, causes, if we want to use a Buddhist word that we like. So things like family, of course, romantic love, non-romantic love, like love for other family members and friends. Respect is a biggie. Friendship, whether you have a mutual goal, that can draw people together. Locality, hey, they're the only kid in the neighborhood. That's who I play with. Hardship, when people have a hard time and they experience it together, it can draw people closer. And it can also just be simple need or even want. And I'm certain you can probably think of others that may have happened in your own life. Relationships thrive when those same stimuli are nurtured where it's appropriate and then skillfully redescribed when we need to, but also accepted for what they are. Like I talked last time about, we got to love, right? Romantic love. We have to accept it for what it is and not try to change what it is. Most often, the questions concerning relationships arise within those involving family and loved ones because, hey, these are the folks that we are the most likely to have what are called intimate relationships with. These are relationships in which loss and pain arise when the relationship is broken. Relationships with coworkers, acquaintances, and people outside your circle, these tend to be what are called integrity-based relationships. These are relationships that are temporarily engaged in due to something that we want or something that we need. So we've got intimate relationships and we've got integral relationships. And that's what these two Venn diagrams here on either side of me kind of give us a better idea of what these are. So you have a circle, and your circle is composed of beings, and I say beings because we include pets and we include service animals because they're important to us. Because we all, with them too, like the people around us, we have a deep sense of sharing our life with certain people and our pets. This type of relationship is what you would call an intimate relationship. This is one where experiences are shared, situations are endured. So intimacy involves a sharing that's composed of many connections. connections that are missed whenever there's that loss of personal contact. Now, in his book, it's called Intimacy and Integrity, strangely enough, by Professor Thomas Kasoulis, he defines these concepts of intimate and integral relationships, and he takes it across many spectrums of what our human relationships are. So as I said, intimate relationships, they develop as a result of what are called shared experiences, things you do together or things that happen to you together, experiences, situations, events. And integral relationships arise with individuals who supply wants or needs, but again, whose relationship ends with the immediate transaction. So you get the job done, you get the swap done, money for material goods, whatever it is, and you're on your merry way. Intimate relationships, these are the ones that arise between parent and child, close friends, domestic partners, and in a bond that can develop between students and teachers, too. You may have experienced that. These are the bonds that have dramatic effects on how you view yourself and the world around you. Integral relationships develop with friends who part ways as a result of time or distance and consistently arise in the connection between employer and employee. The relationship dynamic that can define whether it is one based in intimacy or integrity is the sharing without expectation. So the idea that in an intimate relationship, when you share, there's the expectation that they share back. The whole, I'm good to them, they're good to me kind of thing, right? This is an intimate relationship. Where integral relationships are, there's no expectation beyond the swap of services or information, whatever that swap may be. Happy Friday, Chris. So we're going to start with an intimate relationship. And let me see here. Let me swing myself around because I'm going to use the miracle here of Second Life. All right, so the intimate relationship is the one on my right, your left. So think of this first as A and B, the two circles, being apart from one another. So to visualize an intimate relationship, we start with those two circles. One is you and your experiences, and the other is a close friend or family member or whatever, and their experiences. Bring them together, and you overlap them like you see there in the picture, A and B, and you get A plus B. You get that nice little orange section there. The section that overlaps is the shared experiences, the ones that are shared in various moments, maybe even in this very moment. It's talking about problems or maybe talking about successes. It's seeing the same movie or maybe reading the same book. It's taking vacations together. This is where your lives intersect in intimate ways. But when we pull those two circles apart, as you see it in the image below, when you pull those apart, the sharing of those experiences is lost to both. The memories remain, but the state of active involvement is gone. So in an intimate relationship, this loss of active involvement, being there for each other or with each other or for each other, this can cause suffering and unsatisfactoriness and depression, and sadness, discontent. Because it's like a part of you is gone. You lose what had become a part of yourself, a sharing of experience and a building of shared memories. So when an intimate relationship ends, then there's that little piece that's gone. That shared experience with that person now is gone. So that's an intimate relationship. Intimate relationships are not always the result of positive interactions, though. Human beings look for connection, even if that connection is a negative one, because maybe they view it as, hey, better than nothing. Because if somebody's craving closeness, they're not going to be too picky, right? They're going to just look for connection. The Stockholm Syndrome is a good example. This is experienced by hostages. It's what is known as a codependent abusive relationship. So the Stockholm Syndrome, this is the idea where the person is held hostage. So the response to captivity can change from rebellion and fear to acceptance and understanding. Albeit, this is a diluted understanding as the relationships become more intimate. Hostages feel totally dependent on their captors for survival. The captors dependent on the hostages as tools needed to accomplish their goals. There are documented examples of hostages that feel a loss after being rescued or released. The loss of active involvement, and here we have, you think of active involvement as, between two people that love each other, but this is also active involvement, and the loss of it causes the arising of suffering and discontent. It's change. People don't dig change that much, right? A codependent abusive relationship, like a husband and wife relationship where one or the other is abusive either physically or mentally. A codependent abusive relationship is similar in the fact that one or both individuals will remain in the relationship over fear of losing connection. So that's an intimate relationship. We all have them. Some of us have more than others. That's cool, right? But these are very important to us. These are the people that we share our thoughts with, that we share our experiences with. These are our pets that are, by our side so much of every day. These are our intimate relationships. Now, but let's say this. We have these intimate relationships, but that does not mean that we have expectations of what that person will give us. We just know that out of that intimate relationship, something's going to happen that's positive. Usually. Now we go to integrity-based relationship. That can also be two circles. This time it's A and D. This time I went with red and green. And instead of an overlap, what you see there is that line in between, the dark line that says interaction. So that's a temporary line, and it shows that this is a relationship that's built on integrity because it's based solely on an individual to individual connection. But it is most often a singular interaction that is meant to benefit both parties. So here comes my favorite example, the cashier at your local grocery store. I like to use this example because we all go to the grocery store. We all have to deal with the cashier. So you connect with them when you need food. You got your food in your cart, you get in the line, you put your food on the belt. They check it out, you give them your money, they say thank you, you leave, and neither person loses anything, right? You gain groceries, the business gains money. These are shared moments, but they're not shared experiences. So there's a difference, right? Because the cashier is probably not even going to remember you from Adam, 10 minutes later after dealing with all these other folks. So once the interaction is completed, then the line fades without a feeling of loss. So that line, that interaction line in between just kind of fades away or gets smaller so it's not connected anymore. The relationship with the cashier, though, gets renewed when you return to the store, but the dynamics are the same pretty much every time. So the interaction is complete, the relationship dissolves. Now, since integral relationships are repeated frequently because we go things like dentist, doctor, librarian, bus driver, those kind of things, others may have little chance of repeating, like a person you meet on vacation or a classmate or even a police officer. Individuals A and D, they have the potential of reconnecting. Excuse me a moment. Thank you for your patience there. My dog was throwing up on the carpet behind me. We don't need to listen to that. So back to it. So we're talking about integral relationships. So I said individuals A and D, they have that potential of reconnecting. There is the chance that a repeated encounter could lead us to a more meaningful relationship, possibly even an intimate relationship. We can use the cashier at the grocery store as an example. If you go to the same grocery store for 20 years and the same cashier works there for 20 years, chances are you're going to get to know that cashier a little better. So it could change from an integral relationship to an intimate one, or even both. Integral when they're at work, but maybe intimate afterward. Maybe you get to be friends, you get to know each other better. Equally, an intimate relationship can transform into an integral relationship as interactions change. Though some of the residue of that intimate connection is likely to persist. And here's your big example of that. Divorced parents fit that very model. They had the intimate relationship, they split up, so those shared experiences are no longer part of the deal, but they have an integral relationship because they're still taking care of kids together, for example. So they still have to be connected in some way. So little bits of that intimate relationship still remain through, say, the children or maybe some other friends or whatever. But intimate and integral relationships aren't limited only to person connection. We have links with our possessions, with our ideas, with our delusions, and they can seem just as strong and just as important. In Intimacy and Integrity, Professor Kasoulas gives an example of just such an individual to possession relationship. Now keep in mind, we're talking about a person and an object, something that they own. I'm going to turn myself around here. I can see you guys better this way. All right. So this is what Professor Kasoulas, this is his example. It's a really good one too, because I think some of us have gone through this. I have. So this is what Professor Kasoulas said. He said, someone steals your wallet right out of your pocket. Pickpocket, gone. Both the money and the treasured family pictures, and these negatives were lost long ago, they're gone. The money and the treasured pictures. The money belonged to you. It was your money. But the pictures belonged with you, not to you. In taking the photos, the thief stole part of yourself, not merely something external like the money over which you only held temporary title. Cash is the integral relationship. The photos are an intimate relationship. The photos, that's an intimate relationship because think of the shared experiences and the memories and everything, especially a photo that you carry around in your wallet or your purse all the time and you see it every day. A loved one or a pet or whatever it may be. So we view these two aspects of relationships separately as a skillful way to understand them. Though there is no dualism when it comes to how we act as Buddhists, whether it is an intimate or an integral relationship. They are all relationships that require the same level of mindfulness, compassion, loving kindness, and ethical behavior. There is another ideal that affects how a relationship begins and develops. Along with the desire to be an individual is the desire to be part of a group. These social divisions can weaken or strengthen relationships dependent on how the individual manifests these things in their body. So you ask yourself a question, is your relationship circle one that excludes or includes others? And that's what we're going to talk about on Monday. This is all about how we view our individuality paradox, this idea that we want to be individuals. And then on Monday, it's going to be about mindfulness. this idea of the individuality paradox and what we need to be mindful of, because we're human beings, and especially as Westerners, man, this individual thing is, it's kind of put into us from birth, right? That you're an individual and you should do things for you and everything should be for you. And so that's part of the paradox. All right, questions,